Hello, I'm Scott Woodwis and welcome to the opening 2 races of the season for the 2016 BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. It's a year of change for the Mark I's as the top 4 from last year have all moved on to pastures new, and because of that it means that the championship is wide open. It really could be anyone's title to win. We've got action from all 4 races of the weekend coming up in the programme, but before that I'm going to hand you over to race commentator for the season, Richard John Neal, who'll take you through all of his title contenders and who to watch out for in 2016. So, who have you got, Richard?
That's a great question, Scott, and thanks for the intro. Many of last year's leading contenders may have moved on, as you said, but there are still plenty of drivers looking to make their mark on this championship, including Simon BALDWIN, who took 2 wins in 2015.
The car was great last year, it's fun. We just had a mechanicals towards the end of the season and that kiboshed everything really. So other than that, the car was very good and we think we've made the car a bit better this year. So hopefully it'll be good in the race.
Paul Bishop, another top runner last year, flashes of brilliance throughout the year, and he could do the same this year.
Yeah, 2015 was quite a good year. We had a few rounds where we did really well, and then a few where we had a few poor results, which brought down the overall championship a bit. But yeah, I'm trying to keep that momentum going this year and keep building up my pace, get more confidence in the car, and hopefully I can work a bit further up the grid and hopefully challenge for the top 3 or 4 in the championship, which would be nice.
Go For It Racing's Martin TOLLEY was a regular top 5 finisher last season. Hasn't had the pace he was hoping for, though, in qualifying today.
Ultimately, I think I'd like to finish in the top 5 this weekend, which is where I should be, but I'm not behaving accordingly in the car. And I don't think it's the car, not this time round, but we'll work it out.
Also with Go For It Racing, their prize draw winner, Andrew Adams, a former grass track racer.
I've loved it every minute, but so far it's been a new challenge. I'm glad we've had a good few minutes practice in. It's a new track and I think we'd have been stuck otherwise. I've qualified 14th in the B race out of 20, so it's a good start.
I guess on paper the favourite though has got to be multiple Mazda champion Tom ROCHE, who is racing in both the Mark 1 and the Mark 3 championships this year.
Yeah, it feels great. Never really been away. Always here in one form or another, you know, helping out or running cars. But yeah, it's lovely to have my car back out and be out there. It's great doing both. It means you're really busy all day and no hanging around. It's a little bit difficult jumping from one to the other. It takes a bit of getting used to, different gears, different lines. But yeah, it's a good challenge.
And so that leads us into our first race of the season. Tom ROCHE starts on pole position, Ollie ALLWOOD alongside. Row 2, Richard Breland and James Harris. Then it's Paul Bishop and Simon BALDWIN, followed by Jake Simpson and Paul Tucker. They're on row 4. 5th row, Clive Powles and Brian Trott. Paul Maguire and Michael FISK lining up on row 6. 7th row, Simon Woods and Paul Bateman, followed by Jake Bailey and Martin TOLLEY. Will Stevenson and Lewis Field. Richard Collins and Chris Hart on row 10. And completing our grid. Remember, this is just half the entry. And away we go. Cracking start by the look of it by Tom ROCHE. Everybody off the line very well. Great start to the season here for the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship at Snetterton. Tom ROCHE, though, perhaps unsurprisingly, leading them through. Oliver ALLWOOD in 2nd place. Richard Breland there in 3rd. Then James Harris, slightly eclipsed and bumping over the curbs there is Paul Bishop. I think he's recovered from that. This is the in-car view from Michael FISK. FISK looking up the outside line on Paul Maguire. Maguire in the blue and orange car. This is around the Montreal hairpin for the first time. Maguire gets across in front, but through Palmer for the first time. It's 125, the number 125, the green car of Tom ROCHE, the multi-champion, who is the race leader. So a very good start indeed by ROCHE, the 29-year-old from Cardiff. And here's the view from Michael FISK. You can see, looking over to see if anyone's coming out the inside, it's Jake Simpson. That's why he was looking. Jake Simpson rockets down the inside. Carries a wee bit too much speed, maybe goes deeper into the corner than he wanted. Still being hung out on the curbs on the exit of Agostini. Simpson's got at least one place out of it. FISK was trying to fight through, fighting the car. Loses a little bit of momentum. That was a great illustration, that in-car shot, of how if you get crossed up, how you just lose that momentum. And FISK, though, still on the case, looking left, looking right, great driver awareness. You need that on this particular circuit because of the twists and turns of the infield. Down the straight we go. That's Clive Powles, the 56-year-old from Warwickshire. Took 3 7th place finishes last year. Qualified in 5th position in his group this weekend and winds up 9th on the grid. But out front, Tom ROCHE is away. Ollie ALLWOOD second. We're looking at Simon BALDWIN heading the group here. You can see the two leaders already opening up a bit of a gap as they go into Coram. Michael FISK in the black car in the group going through, our camera car. But here are the race leaders coming up to Murray's for the first time. And Tom ROCHE is clear. Very good scrap on for third place. Richard Breland coming under pressure from James Harris. James, lots of top tens last year, took fourth position at Donington Park. As we go back to Richie's, the first corner. ROCHE leading, but coming under pressure from Oliver ALLWOOD. Those two very evenly matched, and it'll be good for that battle for them to be away from the chasers. Breland and Harris go through as well. I've got to say, really good driving standards on the opening lap. Very often, somebody running a little bit wide there, but he's all collected up. You can see Paul Maguire still in the mix, followed by 88 Brian Trott, the man from Fleet. You might remember him winning in Group B last year at Cadwell Park. And of course, if you win Group B, if you're in the top positions in Group B, you move into the A Group, which are effectively the top qualifiers from the qualifying session. If you're in the bottom half, you're in Group B. If you're in the bottom half of the first Group A race, not the bottom half, but the bottom few positions, then you drop back into Group B for the second race of the weekend. So up into Hamilton go the race leaders, and we drop back behind Jake Simpson again, and we're in car with Michael FISK. He's having a relatively calmer time of it now. You can see not so much looking left and right. He is still very much aware of what's going on, but not as frantically, and this battle seems to have settled down a bit. And FISK trying to get himself on terms with the 188 car of Jake Simpson, Durham-based driver. This is the short straight onto Williams, and then the long straight, the Wellington straight, and you can see Jake Simpson immediately behind. There is the number 8 of Michael FISK, goes to the outside line. That's going to convert to the inside into Brundle, the left-hander, and this is a very good move by FISK. He got very good drive off the Williams corner and onto this straight, and that really does count here. And he's on the inside line, on the brakes, turns into Brundle, runs a little bit wide there, changes down, rides the curbs, out onto the outside line. You can see he used a little bit more of the road than the car in front, and that might give him more momentum. So FISK there, I said black earlier on, it looks black when it's silhouetted, but it's actually a purple livery, running well ahead of Jake Simpson at the moment. So Michael FISK looking for a decent position here in this race, but still out front, Tom ROCHE and Oliver ALLWOOD. Still got some great dicing going on right the way down the order. 42 in the mix there is Paul Bateman, the man from Hockley. Mainly in the A group last year, Paul Bateman. And you get some drivers that stay in the A group all the time. If you have a bad result in the second or third race, or the final race of the meeting, you're not going to drop down for the next meeting. You just take the points from that particular race. As through on the inside there goes Clive Powell. So Powell's past Paul Maguire. Those two, Powell started immediately in front of Maguire. Powell's on the inside of row 5, Maguire on the inside of row 6 of this race. And here's the field coming through Palmer. At that stage of the race where things start to just settle down and all the battles that are really setting themselves up for the remainder of the race pretty much underway. Paul Tucker there as well, familiar livery from last year, the red and yellow car, always in Group A, and ever present in Group A was Paul Tucker, best of 8th place, so very consistent and fast driver. That's going to put him in the top half of the championship if he manages to keep that going, that form. And up towards Hamilton. Don't think we've got any moves particularly on at the moment, but we go back in car with Michael FISK. FISK working hard through Oggies, and now coming down into Williams. This is where he got the good run on that previous lap. Back to 81, Richard Breland though, so Breland there in 81, still up ahead of James Harris. Ahead of them, the blue car with the red stripe is Simon BALDWIN. BALDWIN running in 3rd place at the moment, so Richard Breland in 4th place, James Harris in 5th. So things looking relatively settled at the moment. Of course, what the drivers have to do is not take too many risks. As we look at 44, Paul Bishop, Lincolnshire-based driver, 3rd at Alton Park last year, and mainly very much in the Group A over the course of the season. But look at Tom ROCHE, big lead over Oliver ALLWOOD. ALLWOOD, then Simon BALDWIN goes through. Richard Breland next in the red and white car, followed by James Harris. Then it's Paul Bishop. So this looking relatively settled. I was starting to say that the drivers here, they know they can't afford either a mistake or a DNF, because that will drop them down into Group B, and that basically means you can only get so far up the points order. It's going to make a big dent, and that can make the difference in the championship at the end of the year if you have a race down in Group B for the overall championship contenders. They'll be looking to avoid that. The race continues. Looking at the third place car, Simon Baldwin, there is Richard Breland running in second behind Simon Baldwin. Fourth position on the road at the moment, then James Harris. Join us for more after the break. Welcome back to Snetterton. Tom ROCHE is the race leader, led from pole position, and he's got a good lead over Oliver ALLWOOD, who's just about to go out of shot now. Third place is Simon Baldwin. Fourth is Richard Breland. Officials looking at track limits. Might be some penalties on track positions by the end of the race, as we look at Brian Trott putting some big pressure here on Paul Bishop. 7th and 8th place, so those two really getting stuck into their dice. Then we go back in car once again with Michael FISK, and it's a good view to have from inside this car. If you're thinking about coming racing, you can do a lot worse than joining this championship. There are teams that will help you come into the championship. There's a competition, the Go For It Racing competition, where you could have a chance to win the season's racing, like the guys we heard from in the interviews at the start of the programme. Key thing is, it's cost-effective racing, it's great competitive racing as well, all under the auspices of the BRSCC. And off the circuit momentarily goes Brian Trott. I thought that was going to be a retirement, but he's rejoined now. Has he had maybe a gear issue or something like that? Whatever it is, he's either going to make it round to pit lane or the problem has cleared and he seems okay. But back with Michael FISK, still trying to make up some positions, is Michael FISK in the number 8 car. And this is all about momentum out of the corners and down the straight. And FISK seems particularly good at that. He's having a very good look now, and coming past the 44 car of Paul Bishop. The Lincolnshire man has been passed along centre straight. FISK has a very good look. That was a very good run indeed. We're on to the last lap, and this is the battle for third place. We've still got Simon Baldwin in third position, number 48 car, won last year at Silverstone and Rockingham, of course. The man from Reigate in Surrey is holding on to it, back in the mix. 23 car Martin TOLLEY just about to be passed, but here's Tom ROCHE. He's controlled this race at the front, set the fastest lap back on lap 4, 2 minutes 20.6 the lap time, an average speed of 75.97 miles per hour. That'll give you an idea of the speeds. And the Blendini Motorsport car of the former champion looking absolutely spot on, hasn't missed a beat all race. And Tom, who won the championship from Brett Smith in 2013, Alan Henderson was third that year, both running in the Super Cup this weekend. He's going to take the win, but here's some terrific racing going on down the order. Martin TOLLEY coming under pressure. Big time there from Paul Bateman. We've got Jake Simpson in behind them as well. Really is some good racing going on. TOLLEY at the moment just outside the top 10, but there's the win. Tom ROCHE takes the win here, and he's a long way clear. That is a very un-Mazda-like win. It's 7 or 8 seconds as they cross the line. Oliver ALLWOOD second. Simon Baldwin will take third place. He looks pleased with that. Baldwin on the podium. James Harris will come across the line to take fourth position. There is a penalty for Richard Breland, car number 81, a 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. Officials very, very keen on that indeed. Here is Clive Powles, who's going to complete the top 10. And Clive chasing Paul Tucker. Checkered flag waves for those guys. Up across the line they go. 8th, 9th and 10th across the line. Brian Trott it was ahead of them. So a really good way to open the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship season here for 2016. There's Jake Simpson going across the line. That easy to pick out black and white livery finishes in 13th. But Tom Roche, the winning margin, 8.1 seconds for Tom Roche. Who is going to stop the former champion? He really is on a mission this weekend. Ollie Allwood second from Simon Baldwin, then James Harris and Michael FISK, Richard Breland 6th from Paul Bishop, Brian Trott in 8th from Paul Tucker, Clive Powles in 10th. Then it was Simon Woods and Martin TOLLEY, Jake Simpson from Paul Bateman, Paul Maguire, and going down into Group B for race 2, Lewis Field, Richard Collins, William Stevenson, Jake Bailey and Chris Hart.
So Tom, great way to come back to Mark 1 straight away with a victory. You're having a pretty good weekend so far, aren't you?
Yeah, that was a great race. Yeah, perfect. I mean, the Mark 1's felt brilliant all weekend. Always has done. It's a great car. Yeah, it's a good race. It all dried up that time, so yeah, good fun.
The way you won that race, it looks pretty ominous for the season. So obviously, you got a lot of confidence in the car. So that must give you a lot of confidence in your chances for this season.
Well, yeah, hopefully, but they won't all be easy. No chance. This is quite a long lap, and once you get clear, it's quite easy to pull away. But there's lots of tracks where it's much easier to follow, and I'm sure the racing will be much closer.
Yeah, really pleased. A lot of work has gone into it over the off-season. Working with Ali Bray, AB Motorsport, and just done a lot of work on setup. Got a few things right, corrected a few problems from last year, and it's really worked out. So the car feels fantastic. It's been really good.
I think going on board with Ali's team seems to really give you a proper confidence boost and also a real speed boost in terms of being able to push up the pack. So they've definitely helped you quite a lot.
Yeah, he pays a lot of attention to the setup, and he's able to sort of interpret what I'm saying quite easily. It just adds that little bit extra, really. It's made all the difference. We did quite a bit of testing as well, so we're in a good position at the moment. The car feels great.
Yeah, but a bit of fun and games yesterday, and qualifying didn't quite work out as it should have done, so I started third row, but I'm happy with that, really. Third was, I think, was where we were expecting. A second was a possibility, but too many mistakes from me, unfortunately, so I need to brush up my act for race 2, see if we can improve.
So with the first race for the A group out of the way, it's now time for these guys in the B group to get out there, and this is the front row of the grid. On pole, Ivan Leary in the car number 25, and alongside him is Jack Warrry in car number 132. Another 20 minutes, another 20 cars. Richard, over to you to call the action.
Thanks, Scott. Just take a look at this. This was the first start. Watch the black car with the yellow stripes. Sideswiped there, up onto two wheels, into the barrier. A very hard hit for Ivan Leary. The car that went into the side was Sam Bailey. We think Sam was trying to avoid Patrick Collins, who may have had an issue getting up through the gears off the start. We'll wait for confirmation of that from the paddock, but very clearly red flags brought out for the restart. Very good attention, obviously, from the circuit staff for Ivan Leary. We thank all of the staff, the medics, the marshals, for their attention. Here's the grid, though. Jack Warrry, Kevin Brent, Patrick Collins, that's rows 1 and 2. Then Bryn Griffiths and Sam Bailey. Simon Orange and Russ Lindsay on row 4. 5th row, Paul Austin and Michael Close. Then Jack Brewer and Anthony Hutchins. 7th row, Danny Green and Andrew Adams. Matthew Simmonite is next up with Martin Canning. Clive Chisnell and Oliver Robinson, row 9. Followed by Joseph Nerai and Adam Craig. Jack Warrry on his own at the start, very well off the line by the second row inside runner, Kevin Brent, the red car with the checkered bonnet. Patrick Collins has got away well too, the black car with the pink trim. He's having a look round the outside, is Patrick. Good start by Jack Warrry though. Here's the scrap for second, side by side. Well, no, they're not. Patrick Collins has got second. So Jack Warrry, the leader. They're all running down into the hairpin for the first time. Turn 2 is the hairpin, 180-degree corner. Race leaders clear at the moment. Patrick Collins second, very wide moment from Sam Bailey. And he was wide, he spins even wider onto the outer reaches of the circuit and will rejoin at the back. Sam Bailey is going to have a lot of work to do to get into a position to climb into Group A for the second races of the meeting. And there he is recovering at the back of the field. Jack Brewer in the yellow 93, quite a distinctive car down towards the back. And here they come into Agostini for the first time. This is the innermost part of the infield circuit. Car number 19 now, Oliver Robinson. Oliver, 60 years of age, incredibly from Woodburn. It really is age demographic-wise, as we go in car with Matthew Simmonite. Age-wise, you've got teenagers and drivers in their late 60s. Right, the whole range in this championship. It's available and accessible to everybody. This, though, the view from Matthew SIMMONITE, 28 years of age, comes from Sheffield and took a 10th place at Alton Park in Group B last year, was ever present in Group B. And nothing wrong with that, because the drivers are going to be looking to improve their lap times and aspire, if you're in Group B as a regular, you're going to aspire to get up into the top half of the grid, Group A, and join the likes of Tom ROCHE and Ollie ALLWOOD, who are, of course, challenging for the overall championship honours. There really is something for everybody in this championship, the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship. Cost-effective, close racing. So there is car number 67. That's Simon Orange, appropriately in orange, the 49-year-old from Cheshire. Had another driver with a best of 10th place in Class B last year. And when you think that we have 50 car entries at times, pretty good results then from Simon, who's chasing Russ Lindsay, the man from Hampton Court, in the number 17 car. Russ was a little bit further up in Group B at times, a couple of 4th places in Group last year. But the race leader, Jack WARRY, out front at the moment, with Patrick Collins from the outside of row 2 in 2nd position. So Patrick made the best of that start, and he'll be pleased with that. Paul Austin in number 30, the great livery from that car. Londoner, so short trip up the A11 for him to come and race here at Snetterton Circuit. We go back, there is Kevin Brent at the moment. Bryn Griffiths in blue, who is chasing him down at the moment. The race leaders, though, as you can see, starting, this has got a little bit of a feel of the Group A race to it, with a brace of leaders starting to pull away from the pack behind. Kevin Brent trying to get in on the mix, and some good tidy lines coming out of Agostini. Here's the view from Matt SIMMONITE once again in the 35 car. Matt qualifying in 15th position in this group, lined up alongside Martin Canning in car number 291. SIMMONITE turns in. Good, neat driving from him. You see it's a light blue coloured car, Matt SIMMONITE, number 35, as we go back and see the darker blue of Bryn GRIFFITHS, who's making a move here. And again, as we saw in race number 1 from Michael FISK, had a very good run out of Williams onto the straight, and if you get that momentum out, then you can carry that through, but very sideways by Jack WARRY, the race leader. And that means that Patrick Collins is starting to close in. So Collins will have seen that. He'll have seen that WARRY is perhaps a little bit unsettled. You can see that you've got the new driver cross on the back of the race leader's car. For a new driver, doing exceptionally well to go off from the front row pretty much on his own. He had to judge that start himself, and it was a very good start. And here he's learning his racecraft here. He's leading a race and also coming under a little bit of pressure from the chasing 99 car of Patrick Collins. So Patrick's going to try and hunt him down. Back in 3rd place, it's Bryn GRIFFITHS, as you can see. Then Kevin Brent running in 4th place, followed by Russ Lindsay in 17. And then the 67 car goes through, Simon Orange. Good start then to the weekend. Well, aside from Ivan Leary, of course, but a good start to this race, which is the first of our Group B races, and we'll have more for you after the break. Welcome back to Snetterton, the first event of the BRSCC Mazda MX-5 Championship for 2016. And we're looking at Simon Orange, who is running in car number 67. Simon battling hard for a top position here. As we came back in shot, you saw the blue car there, Bryn GRIFFITHS. He's in 3rd place, chased by Kevin Brent at the moment. The race leader is Jack WARRY from Patrick Collins, a little bit like the Group A race that we saw. Oh, problems for Clive Chisnell in 74. You can see Marshall's flagging very quickly. The green flag showing in the background is telling drivers that there shouldn't be any danger after that point. Clive gets the car going again. The 56-year-old from Leyland gets fired up once again, but GRIFFITHS and Brent having a very good race. Simon Orange back in 5th position. top 5 will be promoted into Group A for race 2, so it's absolutely imperative to be in the top 5 here. Patrick Collins there is second at the moment, and the motorsport rookie Jack WARRY, the race leader. As we go back to Bryn GRIFFITHS, it's always the same with Mazda racing. It's a job to know where to look. And here we've got 2 cars battling for the lead, 2 cars battling for 3rd place, and a big scrap on for 5th as well. And the chaser there is Russ Lindsay in car number 17, and Russ at the moment just outside the positions that will promote him into the top half of the championship group for race 2A. And don't forget, 2 groups in Mazda racing, so big are the grids that we have to split it into 2 groups. And I've got to say, the BRSCC, the British Racing and Sports Car Club, have got the format of this championship exactly right to cater for big numbers, and so many others could take a very good look at what they do. Back down the order, treble 1 is Danny Green. We saw a fair bit of Danny last year, and it looks like Danny's going to try and pop a move down into Coram, and it wasn't going to do. Coram really tightens up. It's a sweeping corner, tight on the exit. Back through goes Paul Austin, Anthony Hutchins, and then Martin Canning in 291. We mentioned Martin earlier on, started alongside Matthew SIMMONITE, who's running the onboard camera for us. And back to the race leaders, Patrick Collins trying to do all he can to close down on Jack WARRY, who's driving a very good race so far, Jack WARRY, and at the moment Jack's got the fastest lap of the race. Now these guys are a shade slower, as you'd expect, than the Group A runners, but nonetheless it's the format, the fact that you could get a win in Group B, you could get a fastest lap, that will buoy a driver's confidence no end. And look at this, we've got a cracking race, and Patrick Collins taking the battle to him. Here is Simon Orange still in 5th position at the moment in 67. Being chased by Russ Lindsay. Let's see what Russ can do. They're coming out of Palmer. It's a run now down. He's looking on the inside line. Is Russ Lindsay. This is down into Agostini. It's a classic place to set up a pass, but we go back to the race leader, Jack WARRY, the Bristol-based driver, 28 years of age. Then it's Patrick Collins, very nearly twice his age. Patrick won't thank me for that. He comes from Esher, and he's trying to make a little bit of ground. They're coming along the Bentley Straight into the Brundle-Nelson complex. Brundle is the left-hander, and they go round into Nelson. Brundle named after the British Grand Prix driver Martin Brundle, who was based in Kings Lynn. Certainly I seem to remember him coming from Kings Lynn in the racing days of the 70s. We used to see him racing, and he's got a good varied background, Martin Brundle. And then Nelson, because we're in Nelson's County, Lord Nelson's County. Murray's is named after Murray Walker, which was a great move. And here he come into that corner, 90-degree corner off of Coram. The race leader, Jack WARRY's still there. Patrick Collins, relentless chase, not close enough to have a little stab at the moment. So WARRY might be looking in his mirrors. That's the last lap board that's going out. So just under 3 miles to go here at Snetterton, and Jack WARRY looking to pick up a win. He's driven very well. He was quick off the line. Didn't have Ivan Leary to deal with. If you weren't with us in part 1 of the programme, or the previous part of the programme, Ivan Leary got tagged and sent into the barrier, sadly. But Jack WARRY's done a fantastic race here. Patrick Collins realising it's the last lap now, trying to get a little bit of a move on. There's Kevin Brent up to 3rd now, ahead of Bryn GRIFFITHS going through. Martin Canning, he's made pretty good progress. Canning is up in 10th place, started 16th on the grid, so really good moves for him. So there's been progress from further down the order, but here come the 2 lead. Look at the gap that they've got. The gap has extended out to about 20 seconds, the 2 leaders over 3rd and 4th, but there's been a really good scrap going on for the lead, and as I said earlier, great scrap for 3rd and 4th. Back in car with Matthew SIMMONITE, who's busy chasing Jack Brewer there up front in the yellow car. Goes through the hairpin. All pretty neat so far. Camera angle, you can't really see the upcoming corner, but the next corner he'll jink over to the right, then go to the left to take the apex for Palmer on the infield. But back to the race leader, Jack WARRY it is, down the back straight. He's only got to negotiate the Brundle-Nelson complex, the bomb hole, Coram and Murray's, and it could be a win for the 132 car, but he's coming under pressure, and Patrick Collins has a look. Collins came offline. I think he was too far back to do anything, but you've got to say that's the thing to do. They both get it a little bit sideways, and the leader there, perhaps did afford himself the look in the mirror. So that move, that little look from Patrick Collins, wasn't to no avail, was it? He was having a very good look. But they're into Coram, and Jack WARRY's been racing. This has been racing hard right the way through. He hasn't ceded the lead at all. The gap is closer than it was earlier on in the race, but I don't think Patrick Collins is going to take it. Run to the flag. Jack WARRY wins it. Patrick Collins second. What a super race from Group B, as ever. As I say, a terrific format. Back down the order. Kevin Brent is there from Mike Close in 117. Bryn GRIFFITHS has got back into third in the blue car. Bryn's on the podium. Kevin Brent, I'm wondering what's happened to Simon Orange. It looks like he's had a moment and is a fair way back. He was in a Group A position earlier on, but Simon in fact coming into shot now. And Simon's going to miss out on joining Group A. But there's the winner, Jack WARRY. Superb race for him. Fastest lap as well. That was back on lap 5. A happy wave to the fans and officials here. Pat Collins in second from Bryn GRIFFITHS, Kevin Brent, Michael Close. They all go up into Group A. Russ Lindsay was next from Sam Bailey and Paul Austin. Anthony Hutchins 9th. Martin Canning 10th. From Jack Brewer, Matthew Simmonite, Danny Green, Oliver Robinson, Simon Orange, Andrew Adams and Joseph Nerai completing the race finishes here for race 1B.
Well, Jack, first ever race not only in the championship but ever in your racing career, and you come away with the winner's trophy. That's pretty much starting the season with a bang.
Well, starters mean to go on. Couldn't really gone any better. I knew in that race I was a little bit better in the faster corners, so if I just kept him by me in the slower ones, I was all right, and that's what I've done all the way through the race.
So now you've got the more slightly daunting prospect to join the back of the grid for the second race for Group A. So what do you reckon you'll be able to achieve in that?
If I can maintain my position or gain a few places, I would be very happy. After this, I don't think I'm going to get any better than what I've already got. So if I can gain 2 or 3 places, I'll be happy.
Yeah, I am happy because it's my first podium finish, but it was so close between us, and there was a couple of times where I thought, I'm going to get him, I'm just going to get him, and he just shut the door just at the right place. But it was a brilliant race. I enjoyed every minute of it apart from the first start. It was great.
Yeah, it was a nice race. The first 2 got away early, so I was behind Kevin Brent. Got past him, managed to get a gap, and then just really was just looking in the mirror too much because the first 2 were too far ahead. So he gradually got in, got past me. Unfortunately, I managed to get him back on the last lap. So it was all good fun.
So the cars are now forming up for race 2A with Tom ROCHE looking to make it a double for the weekend. Join us after the break for more action.
So with the first races for both groups out of the way, it's now time for the second race for Group A with Tom ROCHE on pole after a dominant victory. Richard, is anyone going to stop him? I'll hand it over to you to find out.
Thanks, Scott. Looks like it could be another good race then. Tom ROCHE is the man to beat. And Oliver ALLWOOD lines up alongside. ROCHE on pole, ALLWOOD on the outside of the front row. Then Simon BALDWIN and James Harris. Third row, Michael FISK and Richard Breeland, Paul Bishop and Brian Trott on the fourth row. Then it's Paul Tucker and Clive Powers, Simon Woods and Martin TOLLEY, followed by Jake Simpson and Paul Bateman. Paul Maguire and Jack WARRY next, then Patrick Collins and Bryn GRIFFITHS, Kevin Brent and Michael Close completing the grid. And you see how the Group B runners have moved up now into Group A. But away we go, and it's the green machine of Tom ROCHE that leads them. The Welshman out front into second position here. Look at bumping and barging there. Richard Breeland gets fired off. They were all competing to get into Rich's, and Breeland is into the gravel. He's out of the gravel. Is he going to continue? The language of the car there, the body language suggests maybe he's not going to. Here's the view from Michael FISK on the inside of James Harris. FISK moves up a position. Michael starting from P5 on the grid, but Tom ROCHE leading here. We've got Simon BALDWIN in second, then Oliver ALLWOOD. So those positions reverse from race 1. Simpson goes through. There's Patrick Collins, who I think might be the leading runner from the Group Bs at the moment. So Collins has made a good start here, and he's got to try and make up progress into big points. You get 100 points for a race win, and then 98 points for second position, 2 points for a fastest lap. So there are extra points available for fastest laps. Here's an onboard from James Harris. just look how they all got into each other going down into Riches. Sometimes that happens the first race of the weekend or the first race of the season. Richard Breland won't be overly happy with that. In this particular case, it's happened on the second race of the season, but the first event. It just goes to show how competitive and close racing is at the top end in the BRSCC Mazdas. Tom Roche is the race leader, though. Second position still Simon Baldwin. Oliver Allwood having a look. Michael FISK is on the outside line going into Brundle behind them and comes through. So FISK now in fourth position. Then it's the black car of James Harris, the green car of Clive Powles, followed by the red and yellow of Paul Tucker. But look at this man, Tom Roche is leaving them behind again. He's well away. He is helped by the fact that there's a big squabble going on between Baldwin and Oliver Allwood and company. They're going along centre straight to tick off the lap. Here's the in-car from Michael FISK once again. FISK keeping it relatively tight to the pit wall there at the moment. There's FISK, the purple-fronted car, in fourth position. The third of the cars going through shot. Then Clive Powell side by side at the moment with James Harris. Harris on the outside, doesn't get squeezed onto the grass. Sideways moment there from Paul Tucker, trying to dive down the inside, and here's the view from James Harris. So Harris is being forced around the outside of the hairpin. You can see him working the lock real hard. Maybe goes a little bit wider than he wanted to. He'll need to go across the outside of the track. This is the corner they were heading down to. It's Palmer. And down the inside goes Martin TOLLEY. Jake Simpson is nipping through as well. Simon Woods in 101, the orange car in the mix as well. But Tom Roche is away and in the lead. Looks like he's going to make it 2 out of 2. And Roche here will, if he gets fastest lap as well, will leave Snetterton with a perfect score. And that's a terrific way to open his campaign to try and regain or reclaim the championship. In car with James Harris again. Fourth at Donington last year. Very much capable of a win in this formula, as we've seen. And they've got really in Roche a very good benchmark indeed to judge themselves against. So Clive Powles goes through, Paul Tucker, then James Harris in 37. Onto this long straight. As I say, if you get the momentum out of Williams, which is the start of the straight, or if you're better at braking, maybe down into this corner, which is Brundle, turns in now, this is Brundle, and then it's round into Nelson. You can use those as passing places. There are so many places to pass here at Snetterton, even more so since we've had the infield section, which was the result of a great deal of investment by Motorsport Vision, Jonathan Palmer's team here. And drivers do very much enjoy coming to this circuit. So there is the scrap for second place at the moment. So Oliver Allwood back into second, Simon Baldwin down to third. Driving standards flag going out. I think that's for track limits again, but look at Tom Roche, fantastic lead. The 125 car is so clear. Oliver Allwood in second, Michael FISK is in fourth place, so three-way scrap. Well, a little bit of a gap, isn't there, really, between third place at the moment, Simon Baldwin and Michael FISK. FISK is trying to close them down as best he can. Still plenty of time to go for sure. James Harris in the mix as well. There is Harris. Look how close this gets, and the green car of Clive Powell squeezes up the inside of Paul Tucker to take the place. I think this is for fifth position. These three cars. Look at that. Paul Tucker goes through on the inside, even has time to go back out wide to cut across for the apex of the corner. James Harris is having a good look as well now. Clive Powell's immediately in front of us. Here's the battle for second position though. Roche is away down the road. He's not going to get too much TV time here if he continues to be Billy No Mates away at the front. He'll rather have the win, I suspect, than the TV car. And here's Jack WARRY, the winner of the Group B race, well in the mix. This is exactly what this is for, the Go For It racing entry. Running well, that's exactly what Go For It are like. Google them, have a look. Maybe you could be in with a chance of having a race yourself next year. It's a very worthwhile site to have a look at, looking at the inside of Paul Bateman. So this has been really good progress by Jack WARRY. Paul Bateman himself, as we said in the first race, pretty much in Group A all the time, or most of the time last year. So Jack WARRY really learning his craft here. At the front in race number 1 of Group B, and now right in the mix of the guys in Group A. So he's had a very varied weekend, and that's the best way to learn. He's had different circumstances to learn from. There's the 101, Simon Woods chasing Jake Simpson at the head of that little group. I understand that Simpson might be subject to another penalty for track limits. Here's the view then from Jack WARRY, who gets it all sideways again, part of the learning experience for the 132, but fires it up well. He just wants to get on with his race, rejoins. I tell you what, he's not going to finish last in this race. He's running really well. Through go the position battlers. Jake Simpson behind them in 101. Then we've got 44, Paul Bishop chasing Simon Woods at the moment. Bishop trying to pile the pressure on. Simpson went a little bit wide there, kicked up some dirt. Back we go with Paul Tucker, still ahead at the moment of James Harris, and then it's Clive Powell's, a little bit of a gap back to Jake Simpson in 188. So that trio not engaged in battle at the moment, it has to be said, a little bit calmer, but the car's going through shot. That looks like there might be a battle going off between Simon Baldwin, Oliver ALLWOOD and Michael FISK once again for second place. And we'll have a look. Certainly it looks like second is tight, and I think that's a blue car in front. I think we might have Simon Baldwin back in front, but here's the view from James Harris again. Harris well inside the top 10. It's going to be another really good points score for him. Look at the lock being applied, the car holding on, coming into Williams corner, and again that's the run down the back straight. Here's the outfield shot. Harris still up ahead of Clive Powell's. Powell's in the 18 car, and back, yeah, there it is, confirmation. Simon Baldwin back into second place, but Oliver ALLWOOD still very much chasing him in the 63. ALLWOOD, the man from Godalming, didn't do all the rounds last year, took some good results nonetheless, qualified in pole position in his group, and what a great race between these two. Baldwin there at the moment. Oliver ALLWOOD, they're probably ruining the fact that Tom ROCHE is here. He's on the last lap. ROCHE back in the championship, massive lead, over 10 seconds over the battle for second, and Baldwin and ALLWOOD would be fighting it out for the championship lead if Tom ROCHE hadn't come back for another stab at the title. But they're having a great race, really super race. Look at the wide line there. ALLWOOD knows that he's not under any pressure from behind, so he can take the more generous line into the corner, carry a little bit more momentum here and there, and challenge the second place man. I don't think there's any question about ROCHE's win here, but this is the scrap for second. Simon Baldwin here at the moment. Baldwin was third in race number 1, wants desperately to make sure it's a reversal in this one with Oliver ALLWOOD, who got second, and ALLWOOD here. This is a potential pass coming down into Agostini. Now watch the red car chasing. Will he jink over to the right of shot? No, he doesn't. He's going to stick to the outside racing line. This could be about momentum for ALLWOOD up into Hamilton, which is the next corner that they're coming up to, the left-hander. Meanwhile, we go back down the order. Michael Close and Patrick Collins having a great dice for 15th and 16th position. There is dicing right the way down the order. And Michael Close is going to come down the inside line. Is Collins has got the wide line. Oh, he's hanging on to the outside line. Cracking stuff from Patrick Collins. Might have gone for the cut back on the inside down into Hamilton, but he's going to try and hang on again. If he hangs on to the outside of Hamilton, he'll get the inside for Oggies, but I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to do that. Right at the other end, though, of the grid or the placings, it's this man, Tom ROCHE, the former champion, multi-champion, who's going to make it 2 out of 2. Fastest lap as well, back on lap 2. There's the checkered flag. ROCHE takes it by over 10 seconds. In fact, I think the gap's now out to 11 or 12 seconds over this pair coming across the line. Look at that. Oliver ALLWOOD ran it close, but Simon Baldwin takes second position in a photo finish. There in 44 is Paul Bishop, who's chasing Simon Woods. Simon Woods ahead of him is in 9th place. Well, great racing going on right the way down the order. Hard on the brakes goes the 42 car of Paul Bateman off onto the grass on the last lap. He's got Paul Maguire just nipping through ahead of him. Maguire's going to finish 12th. Paul Bateman will recover for 13th. But it was Tom Roche that takes the win and fastest lap. Simon Baldwin next from Ollie Allwood and Michael FISK. Paul Tucker 5th from Clive Powell and James Harris. Then Brian Trott. Simon Woods 9th from Paul Bishop 10th. 11th goes to Martin TOLLEY. And then Paul Maguire, Paul Bateman, Jack WARRY, Patrick Collins, Michael Close and Jake Simpson in 17th.
Yeah, it was nice and comfortable. I think it was helped a lot that time because Ollie and Simon were battling. So I don't think I was any quicker that race, but those guys were just holding each other up a little bit more.
You seem to really sort of taken back to the Mark 1 like a duck to water in some cases, to use the proverb. But even so, it looks as though you've come back with welcome arms and looks like you haven't even lost your pace.
No, I mean the car's great. I've got to say a massive thank you to Josh and all the boys at Blendini Motorsport because it's lovely. It's an absolute joy to drive. You can't fault it. It's engine's great, handling's great, and it's just nice to be out there racing.
Very, very pleased with that indeed. Yeah, we had a bit of a coming together at the turn 1, and I think Ollie got squeezed on the outside, and it's just an instant really coming up to turn 1, 3 cars into one, and that put my tracking out. I think Ollie's might have been out as well because he had smoke coming off his tar as well. So made the car not ideal, but a great race. Look, I'm very pleased to be hanging on for a second when it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, very pleased, although to be honest he got in front after I missed a gear, so I was a little annoyed about that. I think if I hadn't missed the gear, I think I'd have still had it. I think I'd have kept him behind me. But it was a great battle down to the line. I overslowed it in the last corner. He anticipated it, got the cut back, and fair play to him. Did a good job.
Race 2B sadly postponed due to an incident in the preceding Fiesta race, and that will be run next time at Anglesey. We'll see you for that one. Tom Roche, though, the championship leader from Oliver Allwood. Simon Baldwin 3rd, then Michael FISK and James Harris. Paul Tucker in 6th from Brian Trott. Clive Powell's next from Paul Bishop and Simon Woods.
So, the first race meeting for the MX-5 Championship for 2016 is done and dusted, and that man behind me, Tom Roche, has been nothing but dominant. 2 comfortable victories, and he's leaving everyone else in the paddock asking the question, who can stop him in the next few rounds? Speaking of which, the championship now heads west onto the Welsh coast and to Anglesey for rounds 3, 4 and 5. But until then, you can keep up to date with all the championship activities by heading to the website, BRSCCMazda.com, and also following the championship on Twitter. You can also track all the progress of the BRSCC by heading to their website, brscc.co.uk, and following them on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and also subscribing to the YouTube channel. For myself, Scott Woodward, and all of us here at Snetterton, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in Anglesey in a few weeks' time. Bye for now.